Hello. Today we're going to look at Waymaker's newly improved beat sequencer, introduced in version 1.0.4. So let's flip over to the beat sequencer and check out the new additions. The first thing to point out is that there's a new mode for beat sequencers. Previously there was only Euclidean rhythms and custom rhythms, but now there's a morphing rhythm. The morphing rhythm functions similarly to the custom rhythm, where you can enable and change stages freely, but it now is kind of crossed with Waymaker's morph sequencer. If you're familiar with the morph sequencer, you probably recognize these two dials here. It's saying that every one loop, we're going to introduce one change. So what is a change in this sequencer? A change is going to be when one of these notes flips on or off. It's going to reverse whatever the current setting is. So if it's on, it's going to flip to off. If it's off, it's going to flip to on. And that kind of allows us to make these dynamic rhythms that change over time. Let's just see how that works. I'm going to speed up my sequence, and I'm going to trigger this music box sound with the beat sequencer. So that's already fun. It kind of helps us create this morphing, kind of dancing rhythm. And I think it sounds really good, especially when juxtaposed with kind of a standard rhythm against it, like the metronome. But it's a little chaotic if you just kind of let it do whatever it's going to do. So we have this option here to lock or unlock certain stages, just like Waymaker's morph sequencer. So I'm going to define some notes that I always want to happen, and I'm going to long click on them to lock them. You can tell they're locked with this little indicator on top. And I think it's nice to kind of dial in just some normalcy to your rhythm, something that makes it kind of recognizable and repeatable. Even though it's changing, there's something your ear can kind of latch onto. So let's hear and watch what happens with these locked stages. So that's pretty fun, and it already kind of feels more groovy and repetitive, but it is shifting over time, which is nice. And of course, we can go in here and kind of edit things like the velocity. Maybe we want these notes that always fire to be kind of accented. Let's hear how that sounds. Awesome. So one of the ways that I like to use this is I like to combine it with other sequencers. You can probably imagine putting a sequencer after this and progressing it with this rhythm, but I actually like to put a sequencer in front of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this beat sequencer into mask mode. In mask mode, notes that this sequencer receives are allowed through if the stage is currently active. So anytime there's one of these white stages, the note will be allowed through, and otherwise it won't be. So I'm going to put a sequencer in front of our beat sequencer. I'm going to set it to generate, and I'm going to match the speed of it. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to make it so this beat sequencer is basically useless. It's masking incoming notes, but it's always passing them through. So let's just hear how this sequence sounds. I'm actually going to slow it down a little bit. I'm going to slow them both down to eighth notes, just so we can kind of hear what's going on a little better. Okay, so let's make this beat sequencer do something. Just to demonstrate how mask mode works, I'm going to take some notes out, and you can see that we're going to skip some of these notes. And this is cool because this sum sequencer is still progressing. We're just omitting some of the notes. But what if we try a morphing rhythm? Let's say we want certain notes to always pass through, and other notes kind of have a chance of passing through. I'm going to create more changes. Let's hear how that sounds. So I think this is really cool because our sequence is running completely in a repetitive fashion, but we kind of have this sliding window into actually hearing the results of it. It's not guaranteed that any note is going to pass through, unless of course we lock that stage and we make sure that the note always passes through. So I think this is kind of a fun way to take some standard sequence and add a little bit of rhythmic variation to it. You could even make it so maybe almost every note is guaranteed to pass through, and then this little tail isn't. Cool. So there's one more new feature for the beat sequencer. And you can find it in the generate mode. And it's this new option called follow pitch. And in this mode, instead of the beat sequencer just outputting the root note like it normally does, it's going to follow the pitch of whatever it receives. So by default, we turn off allow notes and the reset options when we enter follow pitch mode, because we're just kind of generating notes based on what we receive. So this is going to be most obvious if we speed up our beat sequencer and we slow down our melodic sequencer. Let's just hear how this sounds. So you can see that this sequence is progressing relatively slowly. It's updating every quarter note, but the beat sequencer is receiving the pitch from it, and it's injecting all of these extra notes in between. So this is kind of Waymaker's new way to inject kind of like ratchets into a sequencer, where we could, let's say, just sync up the beat sequencer to do exactly what the original sequencer is outputting. This is a sequence that's progressing at 16th notes, and we're firing a beat on every fourth note. So effectively, we're just outputting the same rhythm. You know, this one fires every quarter note. This one is firing every fourth 16th note. So we're kind of doing the same thing. But what if we inject just a couple of extra notes here and there. So I think the way to get started with this mode is to kind of think about the relationship between the speed of the beat sequencer and the melodic sequencer that's feeding it. If, for example, your beat sequencer is running 4 times faster than the melodic sequencer, you can kind of add these 4x ratchets, or kind of 2x ratchets, if you just do like this. And this can go even faster. We could have this go at 30-second notes and then kind of get really fast notes in between. And this gets even more fun if we start to play around with the relative rhythms or the relative sequence lengths here. So 24 steps at 30-second notes is going to kind of create this like 3-against-4 relationship with our basic sequencer. Let's hear how that sounds. So now we've got this sequence that progresses and repeats in multiples of 4, but our beat sequencer is repeating in multiples of 3. So we get to start to play with these really interesting rhythmic concepts of, is this in 4/4? Is it in 3/4? Is it both at the same time? Got these fun little polymetric ideas that we can explore now. Can even take this further and make it some kind of 5-against-4 type feel. So those are the beat sequencer's 2 new functions. Just to recap, that's the follow pitch mode, which is a new option in the generate sequencer. It's going to have the beat sequencer follow the pitch of whatever sequencer is in front of it. And there's a new sequencing mode called morph. And that's going to let us create these random variations in a sequence that are pretty customizable. You can even use these 2 new modes together. Let's say I'm going to create some random ratchets. Cool. So I hope you have fun with these, and there are more videos like this coming to show all of the updates in Waymaker version 1.0.4.